just told them to watch. I got my mind on my grind. Just keep your eyes on the clock and see them all in the scope. Hope they know how to block. Plus, I've been learning the ropes. Don't think that they want a box, boy. This a layup. Just got my game up now. I got my weight up. Wait up, get your hate up now. They yelling, stay up. Wishing that they all stay down. I'm not a player, but I should throw a pump right now. Now I can.
This is the East Coast Bowhunting Podcast. I'm your boy D-Rock here with
East Coast Trev.
And we are here in Coventry, Connecticut, Slayer Studio, hiding in the mountains of God's heaven. And we are brought to you by Elite Archery, the one and only bow that you should try first. I'm not saying the one and only bow that you should shoot, because there's a lot of good bows out there. But guess what? If you've been shooting all those other bows that aren't comparable, give Elite a try. Because how do you know if you're shooting the best bow? Unless you make the switch or try to make the switch. All I'm saying, and what Trev's trying to say is what, Trev?
Make the change. Take the shootability challenge. Oh. Whatever. Fucking change.
No, take the
shootability challenge, man. Go out there, shoot those things. For sure. I mean, it's definitely one of those bows. We call it the old man bow for a reason.
Yeah. You know what? This old man.
D-Rock.
I'm saying, I'm old. You know, I'm old. I still want to shoot in the freezing cold and want to have that butter smooth draw. The back wall that you can stay there for days. I mean, shit. Don't be gays. Stay back there for days.
Go on YouTube. Watch when the first one of the bows came out. They did a full draw on a scale, and the thing literally at its own weight stayed at full draw.
That's what I'm saying.
Who doesn't want that?
Well, there may
especially
be some.
In these cold days. I mean, you want that.
Do I want it?
You want it.
Don't say it like that. It sounds kind of homo. The way you said it, though, it made me want it.
All right.
I'm not going to lie.
See?
I want it.
Fucking do it.
So, yeah, get you a ritual. Get you a valor. Get you the cure. I mean, if you're a target shooter, get you a result. Shit. If you're a target shooter that wants to learn how to hunt, get you a result. It's Elite Archery. All we're asking you to try is an Elite. Then decide from there. And same goes with Gator Outdoors. I mean, they outfit the working class.
They have True Timber. They got to be cool.
What's True Timber, Trev?
The best fucking camo on the market.
Why is it the best? Why do you say it's the best? Because I don't have a lot of True Timber camo.
It's because I use it.
Oh, that's why it's the best?
Duh.
Yeah, but you're a grizzly bear, so you don't need the best camo.
I'll tell you what. For the money, that is probably some of the most user-friendly camo on the market. As far as I put it through the test, man. It's gone through briars. It's gone in negative 10 degrees weather.
It's outlasted your fart smoke.
That's it, man. It's
really,
and it's also
it didn't deteriorate in the butthole area,
and it didn't even deteriorate in my scent crushing closet.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm telling you what, man. I stay warm in this stuff. I have the Silvertech liner, the lining, their Under Armour Silvertech, I believe is what it's called.
Under Armour, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. When you have theirs, you don't need nothing else. So I run that. Then I run.
You run?
Yep. Not far.
Shit, you could fool me.
I have the Zero Gravity. They're waterproof pants. They're fleece lined.
Waterproof.
Yeah.
So you can piss yourself and stay warm.
Yep, you totally can. But They have just about everything, man. The packable down, fucking you name it, they got it. They got a late season. I don't know. They got all kinds of shit. Yeah,
yep.
They got it all.
Shit is dope.
I thought you said you didn't have it.
I don't.
Oh, you just know about it.
Yeah, because
so
I asked Santa.
Something.
I asked Santa.
Oh, all right.
Hey, my Santa Claus is broke like me. We have Mexican Santa Claus. Your Santa Claus is white with long, curly, luxurious.
Does the Mexican Santa Claus run through the streets of Mexico getting chased by a bull?
Hell no. He rides his donkey, and he's got his sombrero. He brings tacos to every girl and boy in Mexico.
Donkey?
Yeah, you don't know about the burros and churros, man. Come on. Everyone likes burros and churros. Burros, they work for you cheap. And then the churros, they fill your belly.
No, you guys have the American dream. We don't have the Mexican dream, so we don't know about these things.
You know what? You don't want the Mexican dream, man. But guess what?
I want the Mexican
At
animals.
least our presidents don't get impeached. Damn. Did I just go there?
Oh, Jesus.
Fuck.
All right.
We have the army. Our Mexican army backs our Mexican president.
Oh.
Fuck.
I'm moving to Mexico. I guess I do have the Mexican dream.
Don't move to Mexico.
Oh, you
No.
have cartel.
No.
MS-13.
No.
And we have snakes.
MS-13, that's not Mexico, man.
No?
Nah.
Where's that?
You sound so racist. They're the same type of brown, but they're more downtown.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they're El Salvador.
Oh. I thought they were Mexican.
You're so racist. Just because they look Mexican doesn't mean they're Mexican.
They speak Spanish.
What? You're going to say Oompa Loompas are Mexican too? Fucking Charlie in the Chocolate Factory hired Mexicans and just painted them orange to make them blend more to the white man? Jesus.
Yep. They make enchiladas.
You know what? No more blueberry yum yum for you from Shabin.
All right.
Oh, man. This is starting off like usual. Yep. So, I mean, how great is it to have the sponsors that we have?
We have some of the best sponsors in the world.
In the world?
Yep.
Wow. Why do you say that?
Because there are sponsors.
And coming up to trade show season, supplied all year long, Scranton Motors.
It's Scranton Power Sports.
I mean, shit, Scranton Motors, all we're trying to say, whether you be a Dodge guy, a Ford guy, a gay guy, a transgender guy, if that's a thing, just check out ScrantonMotors.com first. I mean, shit, I got a Ford tattooed on my arm, and I own a Ford truck right now.
But all their vehicles do awesome burnouts.
Really?
No.
I don't know where you're getting at. What I was going to say is I'm a Ford guy, and I'm checking out Scranton Motors first.
Absolutely.
Scranton Motors, they supply all our needs. Chevy trucks. Every hunter needs a truck. Most hunters that I've seen nowadays.
GMC trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's not a bow tie and you're upper class, check out GMC. I mean, owners and marketing managers run GMCs. Actually, what does Christian cost to drive? Was that a GMC?
I don't remember.
Jesus Christ.
He could have been in a smart car for all I know.
Let me find out he's driving a Toyota.
He had a full-size truck, so.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it was a GMC. I may be wrong. I don't know. Don't quote me on it. But check them out first, because you know what? They supply the East Coast Bowhunting Podcast with their rentals. Every time we're going to a trade show, we're rolling in style.
Anytime we go anywhere.
Like where?
Anywhere, hunting.
Not across seas, because Scranton Power Sports doesn't have jet skis yet. I'm saying.
That's right.
I want to go in the water.
But you know what they do in the woods? They get us.
This is the first time you said doo-doo. I think you might say it again later.
Nope, never say it again. So
we'll find out.
You want to get around the woods? You get yourself a Polaris side-by-side.
Which one, though?
The East Coast Bowhunting Podcast one.
I know, that one's dope.
Duh.
You know what? I wish we could have used it in New York. But we were so tied up in the cold weather. And then Bone Bridle was supplying their own side-by-sides, which were bought from where?
Scranton Power Sports.
I know.
Delivered by Scranton Power Sports.
I mean, shit. Again, you're in the market for a brand new truck, a used truck, brand new side-by-side, used side-by-side, Scranton Motors, Scranton Power Sports.
Dirt bikes, sleds.
The sleds are dope. You know what? That's a bucket list for mine. It's about to be that
time, man.
It is that time, actually. That's a bucket list of mine, to go hunting on a sled. You know, ride out to my spot in a sled, troop through, and haul it out on my sled.
That's what them boys do up at sled dens when they go up there, man. Those guys hunt off their fucking sleds. It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty dope. It is pretty dope. And since it's the Christmas month, we said we would announce the winner for the Death Wish On The Go Kit coffee kit. We're going to announce it.
All right.
We said we would announce it on this episode. But guess what? We lied. Yes, we lied. Why? Because we're going to make a post tomorrow. In podcast land, it's Thursday right now. Oh, real time, it's Thursday. And we're going to announce it with the episode tonight. We're going to release it, what, Friday? Tomorrow's Friday, yeah?
Tomorrow Friday, yep.
So we're going to release it. Noon? All right, we'll do noon. We'll stay consistent. Right. And we'll release the winner in the description. Boom. I think that's going to be the one for the books. We'll tag the winner in the description on both Facebook and Instagram. Everyone that entered, thank you. This is awesome. Trev didn't even... He wants one real bad, but guess what?
Well, they don't know that yet because I could be the wiener.
Well, you have a small wiener, but you're not the wiener.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure. I can't. I don't know. I haven't shared a football locker room with you. Unfortunately, if you played football, you know the big wieners and the small wieners. I was more of a grower wiener.
Than a shower wiener?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not much of a shower wiener. No, who was a shower wiener?
Who's that?
Josh Lucas. He used to soap up the shower floors and slide across like a walrus. Grunting like a walrus. He was a shower wiener. But enough about football. Let's get back to the show, no? So, the next giveaway from Death Wish, we're going to rebuttal with Ethics Archery. Now, Ethics Archery, shout out to Big Hoss, the Arrow Doctor. He actually made it happen that our next episode coming out on Monday, which I believe is the 21st, we're going to announce 3 wieners that will get a promo code each for $50. That's right. A promo code each.
The
3
23rd,
different.
Bud.
Is it the 23rd on Monday?
Yep. Today is the 19th.
Oh, shit, son.
Tomorrow's the 20th.
Yeah, it is the 23rd.
So that would make Monday would be 23. And then the next day after that?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
So, Ethics Archery giveaway. It's going to be 3 different promo codes. They get $50 each. You go on their website and you get a free $50 coupon to spend at Ethics Archery. And we will release the way to enter that on Saturday, which is the 21st. Correct? Correct. So, I mean, we have a lot of giveaways this month. It's Christmas giveaway. Trev, you can't enter this one.
Okay.
So stop asking.
Fine.
You're asking me all the time.
I need new spinning inserts for my decaps because you know what it is? It is almost turkey season.
Well, this is what's nice about the promo codes. You could get your field points, your insert outserts, spinning inserts. I mean, the works. And they're working with a lot.
Can you get a guinea pig?
You're going to have to talk to Hoss about that. But you could get some Ethics swag, some decals, whatever you want at ethicsarchery.com with these promo codes. And we have a special treat for you because on the 23rd, as I stand corrected, yeah, the special guest is going to announce the 3 wieners. And this dude is East Coast all the way. I don't want to reveal too much, but it's going to be one for the books. And we'll be right back in the swing of things, entering the year of 2020. So it's going to be dope, man. I mean, shit, what's the first sponsor that comes to mind that helped you out this season?
Tree Thrasher.
Really?
Imitate the wild.
Promo code East Coast 15. How did you apply it to the field this year?
I thrashed some trees, man. Just made that full circle. Just made that extra noise when I was in my calling sequences and
painted the picture.
Just painted the picture.
And
painted the woods red.
You did, actually.
Whoa.
You did. A little bit of a Picasso out there. It was abstract art, you know.
It was more like...
you were starting to panic early season. Remember?
I always do, man. I always do.
And then it felt like blood after blood after blood. You had a good year, man.
It's all right.
Don't say all right.
It was great.
It was a great year. Compared to last year?
Yeah, last year fucking sucked.
I don't say it. I won't say it sucked.
2 deer last year, but it was. I learned
whoa. Let me stop you there.
Ton.
Let me stop you there. Only shot 2 deer. There's a lot of people that go a season without even shooting one.
You're right. I shot 2 does last year, but that was because I was focusing. And you know what? Honestly, it's not that important. But
it led you to getting your target buck this year.
No, you're right. Yeah, and
we did a lot of scouting new lands.
Oh, last year was crazy, and I definitely got the opportunity at one of the biggest deer that I've had in shooting range last year. Up until this point, I had bigger deer this year, but the last year was kind of cool. It was definitely learned a ton, but yeah, it's definitely a better year.
Appreciation year was last year. Remember?
But it was more than appreciation.
It's just one of those things, man.
It was fun.
It was. It really was. And talking about appreciation, use promo code ECB10 at Gator Outdoors. And I'm telling you, man, this is the time. ECB10, you get to save you some off of their website. And they go from fishing to hunting to gun hunting, archery, all the outdoor group apparel and product. I mean, shit.
Stay tuned to Gator Outdoors, man, because this time of year, right after Christmas, they start throwing out all kinds of crazy deals. Last year was 25% off of XOP stands.
25%.
I think it was maybe even more. There's always all kinds of sales, man. Get on their social media, get on their website, get on their mailing list, because they do a shit ton of sales.
So, know what helped me out a lot this year, believe it or not?
What's that?
This episode that we talked to our best bud from the Midwest that, loves his whiskey, bourbon whiskey like myself.
Who are we talking to?
Oh, you'll find out in a moment. You'll find out.
Oh.
You'll be surprised. Well, maybe not surprised because it'll be a familiar voice.
Uh-oh.
But we talk a lot about mobile hunting. And when it comes to mobile hunting, the first person that comes to mind for me, Wild Edge Inc. Repping the East Coast, Connecticut all the way. And guess what? I was very, very successful this year rocking the Wild Edge steps, rocking my perch. And the best way that I could apply mobile hunting this year was my Modern Assassin Yarrick by Arrow Hunter, supplied by Wild Edge Inc. It was just that complete circle. And you know what? Outright hunting products, the Morph Pro. I had the Morph Pro with me every step of the way.
I used the shit out of my Morph Pro.
Every Wild Edge step of the way. You see what I did there? I know, kind of gay. But it's true, though. I mean, shit.
Agree.
I'm just saying, I had 5 Wild Edge steps with me, the perch, and the Morph Pro, and with my elite archery ritual. Fucking blood everywhere, man. I went from state to state, laying it down. The one state that I didn't get to make this year that I regret is, things happen. I didn't get to cross seas.
No, things don't happen, but go ahead.
No, they always do. They do for this.
That's like saying it's hunting.
No,
it's
things happen. No, because it's not just hunting. This was actually life. Is the Death Tour had a little detour. You like that one? But we're back on track, and we're going to see New Jersey spilling some blood going into 2020. I mean, shit. Blood everywhere with our sponsors. And thank you so much. So, Ethics Archery, East Coast 10. Who else do we have? Death Wish Coffee, the on-the-go kit. Remember, we're going to announce the winner.
They just came out with candy bars.
Really?
Yep.
And the varsity jacket.
3 different candy bars.
Death Wish varsity jacket. Candy bars. The Valhalla series. East Coast 10 is the promo code there. I mean, you could use it on anything. Swag.
But they have candy bars.
Check out Jeff Ayers, the incredible Jeff, the host for... Will you lay off the candy bars? My goodness. Fueled by Deathcast. This is our podcast.
With Amazing Jeff.
And the incredible Jeff.
Oh, that's what I meant. But he is fucking amazing. He's
amazing, too.
Amazingly credible. You like that? You see
the coffee that doesn't make you poop. Right? Is that what it was?
Man. Yep. It's no acids.
Was it episode 108?
Yes, it was.
Oh, my gosh. How do I even remember this shit?
I don't know.
Incredible. Jeff. Do we have any more promo codes?
Yes.
Which one?
ECB.
Where?
For WCB.
Ooh, use promo code ECB on WCB website and save you some. Working Class Bowhunter website. They have awesome swag. Way better than our swag, right, Trev?
Yep, but you forgot one more.
Wait, but our hat. Did the new hats come in yet? The new order?
They will be here very, very shortly. I'm picking them up tomorrow.
Are you? Is this Mexican finally going to get one of those hats?
Nope.
Shit. So, we got more for you. See? We don't even have those hats.
Nope.
We want them in your hands. So, keep an eye out for that on Trev's personal social media website. Because guess what? He's in charge of the East Coast store. And if he's slacking, get on him, because we have shirts coming soon. The hats are coming very soon. And we might even have some ECB thongs, right?
No, but... Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Wishful thinking?
Yeah, you can think all you want. But we're not having those.
Come on.
I don't want to see the fucking videos of you in them, so no.
Elite Archery approved it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, that's fine. But you did forget one sponsor.
Which one?
Mock.
Guess what is out right now on his website, Trev?
What?
The Exotic series. It's the same evolution
series. Does that go
series
with the thongs? Exotic?
Well,
oh, no, that's exotic.
It's only exotic if I'm wearing it. But the ECB Evolution series has evolved even more to the Exotic series. So what this includes is an exotic thumb tab. It's not your normal acrylic. It's got different type of woods, different type of bones. They have different material in it, from fraggrass to acorns to pine cones to wasp nests, honeycombs.
Hemlock cones, spruce cones, acorn caps, swamp grass, pampas grass, green rock moss.
Insane. Beer hops. I mean, they have it all.
Ask me how much they are.
How much are they?
$69.
Ooh.
Plus.
That's a good number.
$7.50 in shipping.
You know what? 69 is a good number. You want to know why?
Why?
Because it doesn't matter if you're gay, transgender, heterosexual, you like girls, you like boys, you like both. 69 works for all of that.
You know it's better than 68?
Plus one.
No, you owe me one. Never mind. Go ahead.
Figured the awkward silence would go well for
all right.
I think I killed your joke.
It was a little too raw for this right now, so I was just going to leave it alone.
It's never too raw.
All right.
Unless you forget your condoms.
That's right.
Wear protection. Oh, that's right. No more porn star. What happened with that? Touchy subject?
Yep.
But not too touchy.
Extra touchy. He's still in the grinder studio.
Really?
Yep.
Why is that, though?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I
don't think we'll ever know.
Nope.
But guess
Never
what?
Again.
The newest addition to the East Coast team, Keith Chirac from Tattooed in the Wild out of Ohio. So we're bringing a Middle Eastern slayer into the East Coast team. That is dope as fuck. You want to know why? Because Tattooed in the Wild studio is in
Virginia,
the East Coast. And guess what? Yup, boy, D-Rock has to complete his story at the Tattooed in the Wild studio. We're going to have the fellas there. The Modern Assassin, Ohio Ryan Davis in the house.
Sorry.
Yee-hoo! Is the only way he answers the phone when I call him. He'll probably have his lady, Sarah Thomas, and Keith Chirac will be there in the house, represent the East Coast team, along with his ambassador queen, Stephanie Sanchez or Chirac. They're married, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
She's an elite ambassador. We're all rocking elites. We're all rocking rituals, cures. I mean, what have you. It's going to be a good time, man. We'll complete the story together as a family. And we'll be there with the leader of Tattooed in the Wild. Who's that?
Dallas Brewer.
Boom. The artist of the studio. No, it would be dope as fuck if we could get Jay Dotson there.
Oh, yeah.
That would be dope.
You know who else?
Who?
Johnny Simonetti.
You know Johnny's going to be there.
Oh, Johnny's definitely going to be there.
Yeah. That's going to be a good time, man. That's going to be... Hopefully we can make that happen...
tomorrow.
Trade show season is upon us,
I'm ready for a good time.
Yo, deer season ain't even over, and trade show season is like knocking at our door. So you will see East Coast Bowhunting Podcast along with the Modern Assassin at ATA. So if you're going to be in the area, we will be there. And you know what? Shit, you have a good story for us? Meet us at our Airbnb and we'll lay down the track.
Whoa.
I know. It'll be a good time. We cook, we drink, we stay organic.
I got a ton of fish.
I don't know what that has.
Sorry.
Okay. But he does. He has a ton of fish and we'll be there. So the next one up is Harrisburg. Harrisburg is going to be actually, which one's first? Harrisburg or Mohegan?
Harrisburg.
Harrisburg's going to be the shit.
February 19th, I think, is
Mohegan?
Mohegan.
You know what? Mohegan's in Connecticut. Harrisburg, obviously. Pennsylvania.
That's the first weekend. That's the first, right? It starts the 1st through the 9th.
We might be there through Valentine's Day. We might be in the doghouse.
No, it's a 1 through 9.
In Harrisburg?
Yep.
Really?
Yep, and then we're back here, and then it's the 19th.
Oh, Mohegan might be.
No.
Are you sure?
It's the 1 through the 1st through the 9th is Harrisburg, and then the 19th and 20th is I believe.
I hope you're right, because honestly, for some reason, I have it in my head.
Know,
we're
but now
gonna be.
You say that does make more sense.
I think we might be in the doghouse. We'll do more research, but we'll be there, Harrisburg, and we have some more
Mohegan.
goodies for Harrisburg. Because guess what? We'll be recording all through the show in the archery hall, in the Zeus booth. That's right.
Whoa.
Nick Albanese with Zeus Broadheads, Tack Driver TV, Steady Form, B16. Guess what? He's there. We'll be there. And we'll be recording all week long. Maybe just a long weekend. Who knows? And then Mohegan Sun Outdoor Show in Connecticut. We'll be there in the press room, in the media room, podcasting all long weekend long. Hopefully we'll get a few MMA fighters or Bellator fighters going in. Yeah, I have some special treats lined up for that.
We are fucked.
Scott McGregor might make another appearance. That'd be cool.
So. Scott McFish.
We'll see some at-home slayers there.
I'm just letting you know we're fucked.
We are going to be in the doghouse.
Yeah, because February 14th is the start of the show.
Which one?
Mohegan.
What'd I tell you, son?
And this 5th is through, so it's 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Yeah.
We better get like a room and like.
I think we'll just bring our old ladies there.
Yeah.
And make them not so old.
Whew.
Yeah. It's going to be tricky.
We're in trouble.
And then after that, what do we have?
Then we have Ohio.
No. Before that.
Oh.
Iowa Deer Classic.
Oh, we have yeah.
Boom. We get to meet up with our family again out Midwest. We'll be out Midwest in the dungeon. WCB will be out on the floor. ECB will be in the dungeon. And we make magic happen again. We'll run into our boys all over the Midwest. Run into hopefully Cody DeQuisto from Lone Wolf Custom Gear XOP. I'm pretty sure we'll run into Johnny Utah again, because I'm sure him and Clint Campbell from Truth from the Stand will be at Harrisburg to follow up into the Iowa Deer Classic. I'm only assuming. What would be really nice, though, is to run into Kevin Vistison from Deer Hunter Podcast. You know what? We have yet to shake hands with him.
At the Iowa, right?
Any of them. It'd be more meaningful if he was at the Harrisburg. You want to know why? Because he's a huge advocate for everything outdoors. And not just that. It's Christmas time. Check out the forest. You want a great stocking stuffer? What's $20 nowadays? It ain't shit. Spend $20. Get his new.
I spend that on egg sandwiches in the morning.
I know. You order 4 at a time.
I know. And my coffee.
And your Death Wish coffee. You're right. So, Kevin Vistison, Deer Hunter Podcast, along with Susie Works Production, put out this awesome, dope flick, great stocking stuffer called The Forest. Go on deerhunter.com. Spend $20 for a great stocking stuffer so you can have a great movie to watch at deer camp. It's the best. It'd be awesome to see him at Harrisburg, if not the Iowa Deer Classic.
Amen.
So, Kevin, we're shouting you out, dog.
You've been challenged.
I know you listen to our show sometimes. We support your podcast, too. Do it up. Buy yourself a stocking stuffer of your own copy of The Forest.
And show up at Harrisburg.
Do it. So, enough of our jibber-jabber. We have a lot of... Damn it, we have a lot of sponsors. You know? We're very blessed. And honestly, we're more blessed to have this gentleman coming on the show right now. Get him on the line, Trev?
Let's go. Why East Coast Bowhunting Podcast?
Because neither one of us wear pink camo.
East Coast Bowhunting Podcast. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Look, man, I'm from Wisconsin. I listen to the East Coast Bowhunters because you don't get anything more real than these guys. Because East Coast bow hunting sets the standards for keeping its listeners informed on everything that matters in the hunting industry.
Nice having somebody, local and represent the East Coast boys.
The East Coast is going to saddle up.
Number one source for slaying whitetails on the East Coast.
Well, you might see Jesus if you actually shoot something, it'll get you into heaven.
Why East Coast? Why not? I'm East Coast, baby. That's how we roll. Chew on that.
Come on the show, a stranger, and you feel like one of the boys when you leave.
Because I get my hunting camp anytime I want.
There's some absolute monsters roaming the East Coast, and I think it needs a little attention, so why not bring it to the East Coast Bowhunters podcast?
Man, because East Coast is a tight-knit crew, and y'all like me. Raw, real, no bullshit.
Because you guys are hometown boys. I love you guys.
This is Kurt Geyer with Working Class Bowhunter, and East Coast Bowhunting Podcast is the only hunting podcast I'll tune into.
All right, so we're on the line with Austin Chandler out of Illinois. How you doing, Austin?
What's going on, fellas?
Shit. Trev's on the line, too.
How we doing, Austin?
What's up, Trev?
How are you doing?
Oh, man, doing good. Just poured the first drink. Been looking forward to sitting down and chatting with you boys.
I know, man. It's been a long time coming to give you your own specific episode at a crucial time of year, late season. A lot of people in a lot of different states are winding down to the wire. And it seems to me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, this is probably right around your favorite time of year because it seems like this is when you're slaying big bucks.
Well, I've killed a few in the late season. If I had to pick a favorite time, God, that first week and 2 weeks in November has been pretty good to me. But the longer I do this, the more I can see value in the late season hunting, where a lot of guys are kind of hanging it up and calling it quits. They're either getting discouraged or they're getting cold and they just don't hang in there. But there's a lot of these big deer, they're just forced to get up and feed. It gets cold enough and they've been run down enough in the rut. They're just kind of forced to get up and feed. So it's a good time to catch a big one.
Hell yeah, man. And I'm glad you bring that up, man, because both Trev and I are very curious. I mean, we've been really focusing and honing into East Coast Slayers here for the obvious reason, East Coast Bowhunting Podcast. Yeah. But we definitely appreciate our Midwest influence, you being one major role of them, because we do look up to folks like yourself. And we do like to kind of pick your brain and take what we like and apply it in our field. Because obviously we're hunting different scenarios and landscapes. But at the same time, you really offer a lot of unique and specific, hard facts. So take us through the Big Buck 101 late season. What's your approach? Specifically, like what you were just saying, they're harnessing down, they're looking for food, and right around this time, is it safe to say it's close to second rut or late rut?
Yeah, we've kind of already seen a flurry of a second rut. These young does come in estrus on the second cycle. It's basically 30 days after the first rut. So the first 2 weeks in December, we saw a bit of a flurry, and now it's kind of letting back up again. And then you'll see another flurry here coming on the first week of January. So you'll see several different spurts of what looks like rut-like activity, but it's kind of crazy to think. I don't even remember where I read it, but these young does will get bred clear up into February. So you wouldn't think that deer would breed that long, but they do.
They're horny little devils, a lot like humans. I mean, shit.
They are, man. I can attest to that.
That's awesome, man. So, can you take us through like a step-by-step of how you would approach things, especially, let's get specific. With snow on the ground, how would you approach entering the big woods right now?
Yeah, well, you can obviously get picked out. I had this happen to me last night. I thought, I'm just going to hang back. I'm going to glass cut cornfield where I've been seeing a lot of deer come out, and I'm chasing one specific buck there. So last night I get snuck in. I'm on the ground. I've got a few small evergreens around me. I thought I had pretty good concealment. And this old doe, she fed for a half hour, and I leaned around the tree to look on the other side of the field, and she picked me out from 200 to 250 yards away, clear across the field.
Jesus.
And it just goes to show you, when you've got some snow on the ground, if you're not totally concealed and very aware of your movement, these deer have been shot at, they've been chased, they're just on edge, and they're going to pick out any little bit of movement. So late season with snow on the ground, you better be very aware of your entry and exit and what deer can see as you access your stand.
Hell yeah, man. So before we get too riled up into it, because I have a fuck ton of questions, let's kick it off right, man. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and where we can find you.
Yeah. My name's Austin Chandler. I got to give a shout out to my boys back here, the Working Class Bowhunter podcast. I'm affiliated with them, a bunch of hooligans, but we have a good time. And I live in West Central Illinois, born and raised, haven't moved down to the area. I farm here. My family's farmed here for years. My grandfather my grandfather's father set up here and started farming, so I've been in this area a long time, and it's a good area for farming, but it's even better for whitetail hunting. So I've been blessed to grow up in this area where I'm at. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's God's country, man. I love it.
That's awesome, man. So you mentioned you're affiliated with WCB. Shout out to them, of course. Definitely, we're not only fans, but huge supporters, and we consider them family as yourself. So you said you're affiliated. Can you tell us exactly how you're involved right now with them?
Well, it's like last night, Kurt gave me a call, and he wanted a couple guest hosts to come over. So Ross and I hopped in the truck and went up and did a podcast with him last night. But we've been friends and guests on the podcast for several years now. So it's a lot of good friendships have developed through that podcast, and that's how we met you guys. So I feel very blessed to have met those guys, and then to in turn have met people like you guys. I mean, I've met a lot of good people in the industry through that podcast.
You mean you just don't drive the limousine around?
Well, sometimes, but the quality of people I find in that limousine is just not as good as the guys I've met up with in the hunting industry. I'll put it that way.
Amen, brother. Amen. And right now, you and Ross are still in charge of kind of coordinating Team Hang and Bang as well, right?
Right.
That's awesome, man.
We've kind of assembled a crew of killers across the country, and man, a lot of guys have had good luck and a lot of success this year. So it's just kind of fun to talk to other guys around the country and keep tabs on what's going on, rut wise. It's just a big network of passionate bow hunters. So.
That's awesome, man. And it's cool to see the connection through, the biggest connection I want to have to say, a lot of people kind of bag on social media. Oh, it's all social media's fault. But guess what? There's a lot of good out of social media. And specifically talking about the connection is, mainly most of everyone's connection across the country, from coast to coast and even across seas, is social media, ironically, because on a day-to-day basis, I can't just shoot you a text, even though, I'm blessed enough to shoot, Big Buck Killer, Austin Chandler, a text here and there, and he responds to me, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, like someone that's on a day-to-day basis very busy, they do their random, sit down in the pooper and they scroll through their social media. Oh, hey, this guy messaged me. Let me message him back or what have you. So there's a lot of good that comes out of it. Where I'm getting at is with Team Hang and Bang is pretty dope. Like you said, that you get kind of the either rut activity or what's going across the nation going on and stuff like that. And it seems like everyone had a pretty stellar year this year all the way around from coast to coast. And that's really cool to see that just a small influence like that, being part of a collective, kind of puts it in the back of your mind to really drive yourself to do better without even noticing that was your kind of, I don't want to put it all the credit to Team Hang and Bang because there's a lot of individual goals set, but to have that and being part of a team, it's pretty dope that in the back of your head it's like, oh, I got to do this for Team Hang and Bang. Or not even just that, like, I got to really show what we're all about. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and it motivates you too. Like you see all your buddies doing good. It's like, man, I want to get out there, and show everybody that I can do this too. So it's just, we kind of feed off of each other. So it's a very cool thing to be a part of. Hell
yeah, man. So you were mentioning, what I want to circle back to is the doe picking you off 200 yard plus. It's like, it seems also with snow on the ground, right? Doesn't it seem like the woods are extra quiet on a not so windy day? It's almost like the sound gets soaked up into the snow, right?
Yeah, you just hear yourself crunching in that snow. You're like, God, every deer on the farm's going to hear me. But if you got a little wind on your side, that definitely helps out. But we're actually losing our snow. We're going to be in the mid-40s all for the next week. So not the kind of weather that I was hoping for the later part of December, but my snow is pretty much going to be gone tomorrow.
Oh, no shit. Are you going to, do you think you'll get more movement out of that though?
The barometer's still up, so I'm still seeing barometer over 30. Nice. So that means deer are probably still going to feed just because right now they need the food. They're run down, and it's just that time of year where they're trying to stockpile some protein and some carbs. So I'm still going to see deer feeding. It's just not going to be as good as, man, when you get 6 inches of snow on and it's highs in the teens and 20s, they're forced to feed. They literally have to keep their body temps up, so they're going to get up and they're going to feed early. Whereas when it's in the 40s, it could be the last 5 minutes of light before you start seeing them move.
Right. That makes sense, man. That makes sense.
Yep.
So are there any hit listers that you're still after, or you got all your hit listers that you were kind of honing in on?
Well, I had a buck show up. Actually, the first and last picture I got of him was October 25th. And I had one picture of him last year. It's just on this small parcel, but I've been running a cell camera in there all year just waiting for him to show back up, and he never has, but nobody's killed him. He's cool enough. Word would spread if he got shot. He's just a bruiser of a deer. So he's kind of the one I've just been waiting on. I've really had some good encounters this year. I passed up a lot of 140-inch deer, even some 5-year-olds in the 140s, just waiting for something really big. And other than that one monster, I can't say that I have a beat on a really nice, solid 150s plus 5-year-old, which is kind of the type of deer that I hold out for.
Nice.
So I'm being patient. I'm waiting. This is the time of year when some of these deer that you see early in the season come cruising back through. So I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that this deer shows back up. But man, he'd be something to put an arrow through. He's awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Now, when you say cool enough, aside from, being 150s plus 5-year-old, what else makes it cool enough? Like, what do you see out of them?
You're talking what's this specific deer look like this big one that I'm waiting on?
Well, you say cool enough. What's cool enough to Austin Chandler? Like, let's pick your brain. Put us in your views.
It's getting late enough in the season. If I see a nice solid 5-year-old deer that's 150 plus, I'd be very happy to take a deer like that. I've always said kind of what the deer I like to see is like 150 inch 8 or 160 inch 10 pointer. That's kind of what I like to hold out for, but obviously score is not everything. You know, if you have that encounter with that deer and he gets your blood pumping enough to draw back, then that's all it takes for me.
Awesome, man. So for us East Coasters over here, right, we're not seeing, like, we have the caliber deer here, just not as many, right? And then,
right.
And it's just, I don't want to say, it's harder, because it kind of brings down your type of hunting down, which is definitely, we're comparing apples and oranges.
In an area where the 150 is less common than what I have. I mean, that's understandable. So yeah, I mean, if I was hunting on the eastern side of the country like you guys are, maybe like a Pumpin young deer, like a 125 typical or something like that, that'd get me going over there in you guys' neck of the woods.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it. But I guess the question that I'm trying to ask is, what really gets your blood going? Like, have you ever had, okay, let me rephrase that. Have you ever had something in your eyes or in that area small, right? Whether it be, 130s or lower, get your blood boiling. Did it get your blood pumping? Like, maybe get you to draw back and like, ooh, and get you to think. Has that happened recently or no?
I've shot a couple deer that I probably should have let go another year, but in the heat of the moment, you only have so much time to analyze and field judge, and when they come rushing you and they're grunting and screaming past you, you've got a split second to make the decision. So yeah, I've shot a couple deer that probably I should have waited a year on. But
that's interesting that you say you should have let them grow a year or waited a year on. But why though? Like, if it got your blood boiling, right? You're being ethical. You got your tag. Like what?
Yep.
I'm trying to understand the Midwesterner thought.
Yeah, I'm pretty blessed, I guess. I can afford to be picky. Like, when I get done, I'm a farmer, so when I get done with my harvest, I try to be done by like Halloween. So I've got all of November, all of December, and half of January to hunt, and I hunt pretty much every day. Like, if I'm not sick or I don't have an obligation with my job or my family, then I'm in the timber. So I spend a lot of hours in the timber, so I can kind of afford to be picky if I want to be. So
hell yeah, man.
When I look for a deer that's going to make me pull the trigger, I like to see a 5-year-old, and I like to see something that's going to score halfway decent or looks unique enough for me to mount. I guess that's how I judge a deer. If I'm going to get him mounted, then I'm going to shoot him.
That's dope.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Like the full mount, right?
Yeah, I wish everyone was like that one.
Yeah. That's dope, man. I can't wait for the day for Trev and I to make the visit on the blessed man cave that you have, man. It's
I'm sitting at the bar right now looking at all of them, so I'm pumped. I'd like to have you guys over. That'd be fun.
Hell yeah, man. It's definitely a bucket list for us. I mean, we'll be at the Iowa Deer Classic, so who knows? You never know what happens when you're that close.
Yeah, you guys will be like 2.5 hours from here, so you might as well stop in if you're that close.
Shit. After driving 18 hours, 2.5 hours ain't shit to us. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
That's a hop, skip, and a jump. Now, it's been, what, a year since you shot dropper whopper, right? The double drop?
Yeah. Yep, the double drop I killed, I think it was around December 9th or 10th last year. So, yeah, it's just been a little over a year.
Because I remember that was like the monument of Austin Chandler for me. Like, you shot this deer,
because you had sheds the past couple of years until then, right?
Yeah, I had a good friend that was hunting that deer, and he had a lot of obligations with work, and he basically said, Austin, I don't have enough time to hunt this deer, and I know that you're going to dedicate the time that it's going to take to kill him. So he basically let me hunt this farm, and he stayed off of it. And after 4 or 5 encounters, I finally got it done, and with a muzzle loader. So he was a big enough deer. I did not mind using the gun on him.
You know what? Can you take us through like your mindset of how you approached it to in season through up to the kill spot?
Yeah, I hunted him like I try to hunt any deer. I like to stay out of the area until I know that he's in there quite a bit. So I set up a cell camera, and it was the end of October when he finally started getting consistent on that cell camera. I was getting a picture of him every 5 or 6 days. So I knew that he had to be bedding right around that area. And that's when I kind of started hunting him, was the last 3 or 4 days of October, and got really close to him several times in November, and just never could get an arrow in him. That something would always go wrong where he just wouldn't get within range, or if he was within range, I wouldn't have a shot. So I obtained permission from the landowner on the east side of the small farm that I was hunting. And he told me, he said, if you get an opportunity at him, you shoot him. And I hunted all muzzleloader season. I think our season was 4 days long. And on the last day, I decided to walk down into a little finger where I'd seen him bed before, and he was bedded off that little finger, and I jumped him up and shot him as he was running away from me.
That's awesome, man. That's dope.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, even hearing the story, it's like it kind of fills in the blanks on a lot of questions that we've had. Because, we see bits and pieces, whether it be social media or on the podcast and stuff like that. So it's nice to kind of hear it from your perspective. The main reason we really wanted you to have your own episode is because sometimes, you have this perfect picture of an episode, bringing, yourself and Ross on, and it seemed like Steve was having a little too much fun the first time you appeared on the show, and
we were all having fun. We were all having fun that night, but Steve was taking it to another level, I think.
Yeah, he's always on the better level. I call it the better level. You know what I mean? He's just a happy dude. And
we're all just jealous that we can't be on that level with Steve sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody wants to be there. We just can't function as humans for very long on that level.
That's a good way to put it, man. I'm actually jotting that down. We can't function as humans. Oh, man. So, I mean, I really want to kind of reel it back in because it's late season. If you had any really good advice to give an East Coast deer hunter, right? Because we do have ag out here, but try to picture yourself in our timber. We're climbing mountains, all kinds of weird shit going on. What do you think? How would you apply your hunting knowledge in the East Coast? Let me ask you that.
Well, food is everything in the late season, whether you're East Coast, West Coast, wherever, Midwest. That's deer have to eat in the late season. So first thing I would do if I was going to hunt out there, I'd set up on some ag fields and just try to see what's coming out. If you have the opportunity to glass from a distance and set back for a night or two, especially when you get a good night where you've got a high barometer, where deer are going to be up and feeding, set on the best food source you can find. I know back here cut corn's really good right now. The colder it is, the better cut beans and standing beans. Standing beans obviously are better, but whatever available food you guys have, find a way to monitor that. I like to glass from a distance. If you can't glass, get some trail cameras in there and let them set for a week or 10 days and check them and see what's on them. But yeah, food is everything this time of year.
It's funny you mentioned that. Well, not funny, but it caught my interest that you mentioned specifically standing beans because, I'm an open book right now, a blank page. And personally, this is my third season hunting whitetail. And I mean, I'm really honing into every small detail that I see, especially when I hunt with someone else that's way more experienced than myself. Now, you brought up standing beans, standing beans, late season beans, what have you. One thing I noticed multiple people doing out here that I don't know if it's the same across the nation is they'll actually try the standing beans that are still there. The dried up kind of grayish, kind of yellowish looking bean, just to see if they still taste a hint of sweet or if they're already sour. And that was like, I had a ton of questions when I saw that happen in front of me. And specifically New York, hunting in Bow and Bridle, upstate New York. My guide that I was with, he's been hunting whitetail for quite some time, specifically on this. It was a preserve, a high fence area, but he's hunted primarily all outside the fence in his own area. But the fact that I saw him do that, and I asked him about it, and he described that, if the beans are tasting sour, they're obviously not going to be hitting that bean field. Now, that's something like taking it to another level because, not to really talk about him because this is your show, but Clint Casper, when he says become one with the herd or become the deer, it's like that's the small little detail that as a hunter you tend to overlook and not really hone in on thinking like a deer. Now, does that make sense to you? Have you ever done anything like that in your hunts?
I can't say that I taste the soybeans to see if they have any different flavor to them. It's obvious to a hunter back here, the colder it gets, the more they're going to prefer those standing beans. But honestly, any time in the winter when you can look over a standing soybean field, it's going to be money. I mean, the deer just prefer standing beans to almost anything back here, especially when you get some snow and it gets really cold. And every deer is different. I mean, some deer are just going to prefer other food sources, but like right now, it got cold enough here last week where I've got a big time plot and they're just hammering it. They're tearing up the bulbs. They're eating the bulbs, turnips and radishes. So the best thing, I guess, if you have the opportunity to plant a food plot, the best advice I can give is put some diversity in it, plant some standing soybeans and then checker pattern it or whatever with some brassicas. And for a late season food plot, it'd be pretty tough to beat because you're going to kind of give every deer everything they want at multiple times during the season. You have a plot or a food source that's attractive all through the season.
That's good advice, man. What's your prototypical ideal late season food plot? What does it consist of?
Just like I said, I do standing soybeans, and then I would do a combination of turnips and radishes, clover, any kind of a brassica, and then mix it with a clover or some type of green. And yeah, diversity is good when it comes to a food source.
That's awesome, man. So, I mean, there's times, right? Because, wind is a big factor. In any time of season hunting whitetail, do you find yourself kind of like, you're playing the wind, right? And you know how sometimes, because weather kind of switches up on you and it really throws you in a funk sometimes, especially late season, it seems to be, because of all the different, pressure changes and whether it be snow, freezing rain, what have you. It's like everything changes in the heat of the moment. What's your best advice to give on a late season tactic when you're playing the wind, you think you're going to be in a perfect wind, and then it starts swirling on you and change it up? Like, what do you do specifically in that situation?
Well, lately, I mean, the last few years, I've really adapted this idea of a mobile hunting setup. Personally, I love this new Lone Wolf setup. I've had it on my back probably half of my sets this year. I do some saddle hunting. I do have some stands that are already set out in the timber, so I just kind of mix all those up. But what I can say, I guess, as far as advice for the wind, carry a wind checker. Look at an app, whatever you use, weather.com or whatever, and try to get a general idea hourly what the wind's going to be doing as your hunt progresses. But keep that wind checker with you because you guys know, obviously, being in country that has some hills and some mountains, topography is everything. So that's really going to dictate what the wind does in your specific area. So I guess if I had advice, get a mobile system, get comfortable with it, and pay attention to your topography and the thermals, and just keep that wind in your face as much as you can.
So like if the wind ends up changing during the middle of your hunt, are you going to get down and move to make that wind to your advantage, or are you just...
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a certain set of trails and you know that deer's going to come in on that side of you, then yeah, you have to move. You can't blow your scent towards where they're going to be coming. But if it's kind of just a general pinch and you think, well, I'm still going to be all right, you know, there's times when I'll stay up in the tree, but I guess it's all a guess, but you just have to make your best judgment on it, I guess. Look at your area, pay attention to what that wind's doing, and if you think you're going to screw something up, you're probably better off to get down and relocate.
So when's your breaking point? Like, when do you make the decision, all right, I got to get down and move? You know, like, what really... You can't jump the gun too fast, because you'll get those swirls, you know, you'll get those thermals for 10 or 15 minutes where it's swirling on you, and then it'll pick back up and get back in your face. So right.
Don't move as soon as you feel the wind shifting. That's just what wind is going to do, especially, you guys know, being in that kind of country, it's the wind is not steady all the time.
Yeah, and if it's under 10 miles an hour, then your thermals play a role in it. If it's staying more than steady in that, then it's gonna.
It just gets worse. The lighter the wind, the less consistent it's going to be. So, I guess what I like to do, if I can find a spot to use to my advantage, you know, getting up enough to where the deer are going to be below me and using the rising thermals to my advantage, or vice versa, get below them if the thermals are dropping down to you. It's kind of it could be a topic we talk about all night, but it's all situational. Like, you get in one spot, the wind's going to do one thing, and then you get in a different spot and it's going to be doing something totally different. Just being able to adapt to your situation, I guess, is the best advice I can have. And a light, fast, mobile setup is the easiest way to adapt.
Word. So Lone Wolf kind of steered you away from the screw-in steps, is what you're saying?
Well, I still run some of those, but it's not as often.
Well, no, it's good to hear, though.
Those sticks, man. I've never gave sticks a chance until the last year or two, and that's definitely a lot easier than the screw-in steps.
Yeah, man. It's just the only thing that I have nothing against screw-in steps except for it's like the impossible happening. And I guess it could happen with sticks too, but not as predominant in the sense of, like, let's say you do slip and fall, right? And you're attached to the tree. But with screw-in steps, right, I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, I feel like there's a higher chance or a higher probability of you puncturing your own body somehow with those things.
Yeah, I've seen some gruesome pictures. Guys slip and fall and catch their jaw or their leg or whatever on the way down, and it's not pretty. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, those steps, and I'm guilty of putting steps in a tree and leaving them there and coming back and hunting that same tree year after year, and those pegs will pull out on you, or I've had them break off. I've slipped on them. I mean, they're dangerous. There's no way around it.
Right. And any kind of, tree climbing method essentially is dangerous, but I guess as not just a hunter, right, but as a family man and having an obligation to come home the same night, like, that's always, not that I'm like, oh, I'm super cautious and need to think of every step, because I do some dumb shit at times, just like any other hunter, when you're kind of feeling pressured in the sense of getting in at a certain time so you can beat the wind or what have you, beat the time that deer usually show up on the certain set. Now, different methods work for different people, but at the same time, it's like sometimes we need to kind of hold back as far as, like, especially late season tactics, because you mentioned, like, the cold keeps people out of the timber most of the time, right? So a lot of times you need to prep for that. And for example, I'll use me as an example right now. You know, I'm working all day long. Morning hunts are not in my favor right now. Clearly, for one, I'm Mexican. I fucking hate the cold. You know, it's like I don't do good with cold. I feel the cold in my bones, you know? It's like, it says, you know, you're going to be deported. You know, like I don't.
You just weren't built for this weather.
I was not. So I take extra precautions to defeat the cold. So morning hunts aren't in my favor. I like afternoon hunts late season. And it seems like late season, I mean, in my area anyways, and the property that I hunt, it seems like late season afternoon hunts is the time to be in. That being said, is you really want to take the extra precautions of prepping. And one of those prepping situations is, like you said earlier, the mobile hunting. I take my light system mobile hunting into the woods and apply it to it. Sometimes it might be a preset. I might have a preset that only requires maybe a couple wild edge steps or a lone wolf stick to just climb into my preset and get set up. But most of the time, depending on, especially with snow on the ground, when you're discovering new, and again, I'm a new whitetail hunter, so like I'm seeing new data in snow, and I need to apply it to my scenario. So if I see that, I'm going into the woods precautiously in the sense of like I need to get home at a certain time because I still need to cook dinner. The kids are going to be hungry. So everything is a factor. That being said, with your, not to bring it back to screwing steps, it's like if you leave certain presets in like that, right? It's like sometimes I feel like we get caught up in the moment of rushing in and forgetting totally about safety. So I guess my question to you is like, what safety precautions do you apply, or do you take that for granted because you're a very experienced whitetail hunter? Like, does the experienced whitetail hunter take that for granted sometimes?
No, I'm a family man myself, and my son's 4 years old now. So the last several years, I really became aware. You know, I have some other responsibilities at home now, I guess. So I always stay attached to the tree. I'm always using my lineman's rope when I'm putting my climbing sticks on the tree. You're always attached to the tree, and always wear my safety harness and a tether, or if you're in a saddle, you're constantly attached to the tree. So the more you can do that, the less your chances are going to be that something's going to happen. So, yeah, I used to be a monkey. I never wore a safety harness. I'd go up and down the tree. I mean, hundreds of times every season. I've been really lucky. I've never had never fell. I've slipped a couple times, but I've always been able to catch myself. But it's, and we're talking about late season. I mean, now's when it's going to happen. You know, you're kind of bundled up. You've got more clothes on than what you're normally used to. Surfaces are slick. You've got mittens on. Your grip's not as good as what it normally is. It's just, if you're ever going to be aware of going up and down a tree, this is the time of year when an accident can happen. So just be careful.
Awesome, man. I mean, that's solid advice. So, I mean, what's your preferred method? Oh, actually, let me backtrack a bit. What have you tried the new Lone Wolf platform?
I have
for
not.
Saddle hunting.
It's on my Christmas list.
It's on mine too. So, hopefully Santa will be good to us, right?
Right. No, it looks killer. I've got that tethered one, and it looks like it's about, I don't know if it's double the size, but it's quite a bit bigger than this tethered one that I've been using. So I'm looking forward to popping that on a tree and comparing that. But it looks like a really sweet setup.
It's double the size of the tethered one, but it's the same exact weight. I've actually held both in my hand, and a buddy of mine had the tethered, and I'm like, dude, have you seen the Lone Wolf custom one? And he's like, no, I haven't. And I said, here it is. And he's like, dude, you got to be kidding me. He goes, it's the same exact weight. It's double the size. He goes, for all day sits or being in the tree and being more comfortable. He goes, this is the way to be.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
It's definitely, I've used it twice. Just because in the couple properties that I am hunting right now, I have presets in there, preset saddle place, you know, with rings of steps and so on and so forth. So I just been hunting those. So I haven't really hunted the shit out of it, really. Just kind of messed around with it. And most of the time I'm like, oh, I got to get into the woods. So I just run to my preset instead of bringing in my platform and using it. So I like you guys, I'm for next year, I'm definitely going to be more mobile with my setup. Hopefully add the Lone Wolf custom sticks to it and just have like the most elite
archery.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The most elite mobile saddle setup, I mean, that's definitely it right there.
What I like most about
I can't say enough about the quality of their stuff. I mean, I've hunted with a lot of gear through the years, but they really take a lot of time and really think everything through as far as their gear goes. It's super quiet, super light, strong. I mean, it's just, if you haven't treated yourself, you need to check it out. It's pretty good gear.
You know what? It's shameless plug there, but you know what? It goes a long way because the ambush platform, right? What I love most about it that intrigued me, and Trev actually got a hold of it before I did, or I have. And what I like most about it is you could apply it into a saddle hunting scenario or even a tree stand scenario as a hang-on.
Right.
It's big enough to be a hang-on.
Platform, you can get away with that.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's pretty dope, man. It's almost, I don't want to, tag it revolutionary, but it's just something that's not out there that you could apply in both fields, which it's pretty cool. Like you mentioned earlier in this episode, Austin, is the networking and the open doors and meeting the good people in the industry through podcasting. You specifically said working class bow hunter, but just in general, podcasting is like you really get to know who the real dudes are and who are not, in the sense of like, who's in it for the greater good, so to speak, and who's in it for just, pushing brands and product. But
right.
It's nice to go to the, like, for example, the WCB shoot. It's like a long time coming, a lot of people getting together and really getting to know each other, all the social media influences all in one spot and getting to see the new products in hand, like holding the ambush before it's released and like, wow, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be revolutionary, quote unquote. And to see it come to fruition and coming out with a bang, it's just cool to be behind the scenes. And even meeting some people that are like, I won't call them fans, but big supporters of either podcast or even one more than the other. And it's all big community in a small niche group, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's just pretty dope.
No, I'm looking forward to that shoot this summer again. Hopefully it's not 115 degrees like it was last year. But that shoot's a lot of fun. You get, like you say, you get a lot of like-minded people in the same area, and you're going to have a good time. Everybody's there for the same reason. So definitely one of the get-togethers that I look forward to throughout the year.
Amen, man. Every year it gets better. And East Coast is looking to do something similar to give the Midwest an East Coast flavor. So this way, maybe you boys can come to our house. We're just trying to make it.
I keep waiting on the invite.
You know what? We need to have the correct place though. This way, we get. You guys.
I just want to have Austin Chandler on the East Coast to kind of teach us a little something about deer hunting.
I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if any of my stuff's going to be applicable out there, but
I just want
I would like to come out and check out some of the terrain out there.
Dude, I mean, you always have an open house, whether it be in Trev's area or I don't know if you're down for the hood, but I have really nice properties, believe it or not. It's just one of those things. Trev actually brought this up, not to bring this up right now, but Trev brought this up recently. He's like, dude, there's some really big deer being taken down in your neck of the woods. I'm like, I know. That's like, I don't want it to be known everywhere, but it
is now.
Yeah, unfortunately. But it's true, though. Like, it's one of those things. It's like, I think anyone in any place can use this to their advantage and take this to their neck of the woods is don't underestimate or overthink your area unless you do your homework. You know, if you're doing your homework and you don't...
It's amazing what age will do for a whitetail.
Exactly.
If you can get everybody on the same page and you can let a deer go till he's 4 or 5, I mean, anywhere in the country would have the potential to have very respectable deer. It seems like some areas it's just harder to get everybody on that same page.
Word.
And the guys that are in this local area that do that, like they have...
You just said doo-doo.
Thanks. No, but the people that are in this area that go above and beyond and have the food plots and manage those deer, they shoot consistently deer from the 130 to 150 class every single year.
Yep.
I think one of the biggest downfalls for the East Coast, or at least our relevant area, is that they allow us so many goddamn tags.
Yeah.
You're allowed to kill so many deer. I mean, in the bow season alone, you're allowed to shoot 2 bucks.
No, is that 2 antler deer or just 2 deer in general?
Oh, no, that's
4 total.
Yeah, with archery. So you're allowed two bucks, 2 does. Then you go into your private land. You have 1 buck, 1 doe. Then
2 antlered or 2
antlerless. So you can so you get another
or 4
set.
antlerless if you want.
No, that's for bow though. But with
bow.
a gun, then it's 2. So you get 1 either sex and then 1 doe. So now you're up to 3 bucks.
Yeah, long story short, it's like what 16
deer total
with all implements.
But it's like I want to say it's like 6 or 8 bucks that you can take over the whole course of the season. That's it. If you get your muzzleloader, your rifle, your private land, your landowner, so on and so forth. That's everything across the board.
Yeah, that's not doing anybody any favors.
No.
I guess unless you're just looking to decimate your herd and keep the numbers down. I mean, as far as a hunter's concerned, that's not doing anybody any favors when you can shoot that many antlers.
Well, in our area, Austin, that's actually doing the herd a favor. That's the difference hunting in the East Coast in some states is just that. Like New Jersey's the same way. You know, we're over 65 deer per square mile. And we still don't have CWD. So, I mean, maybe it's working, the tags. But you're right. As far as like big bucks and shit like that, it's like, yeah, you're right. We're not doing anyone any favors. But at the same time, is disease being controlled? It's like that's one of those fine lines where I think Trev was kind of heading towards.
Yeah. And that's one of the biggest issues also is that you have to remember is that if in some of these areas there's fucking houses, so you can't even hunt some of these areas. Or there's, say for example, the next town over from me, the town owns 6,000 acres. It's unhuntable and it's just loaded with giant whitetails, and that's on the university property. I mean, there's 170 class deer that walk around the campus every single day, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Like a fucking petting zoo, too. It is.
But there's so many deer here. But the problem is that they allow these many tags because those areas are in that study. So then the guys on the outskirts of it are just decimating the deer, but they're still in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? So it's tough.
They're taking in all those numbers, whereas some of the deer are not even able to be hunted. But I could see the frustration there for you guys.
I would love
that'd be tough.
I'd love to see it go to like a 1 buck state where with the bow, and 1 buck with the rifle. You know what I'm saying? Just for the management part of it, to see those bigger whitetails.
Well, I agree in that aspect, but Jesus Christ, would we be running over deer like a zombie apocalypse if that were to happen? It's just one of those things. I don't know, maybe this is just a theory of mine. Again, I'm new to whitetail hunting. This is only my 3rd season. But it seems to me that deer are heavily populated surrounding water, even if it's salt water. It seems like the outskirts, whether it be West Coast, East Coast, even down south, surrounding the ocean water, it seems like it's overpopulated. Again, it's just a theory of mine, or maybe an observation of mine. that maybe that's why they're that populated, is just the resources. It allows them to be overabundant. I don't know.
So, Austin, how many deer per square mile is something in your area? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. I can tell you this. The other night when I went out and hunted, I watched one field that was probably 160 acre square, and I watched 40 deer come out into it. So
you're tripping over 150s?
I didn't trip in any that night.
Okay. So
no, it's wild, man. When you get on the right farm that hasn't had a lot of hunting pressure, and you get a front coming in like we had, and the barometer's up, and everybody's coming out to feed. I mean, I've seen 15 to 20 bucks and 20 does, and it was loaded.
Wow. That's awesome.
We've seen on Ross's farm, he's even higher density than where I'm at. We've seen 100 deer on a field. So well over 100 deer in a square mile there.
What do you even do with that? Like, I mean, I'm assuming only that you guys are used to seeing that. Like me, I'd be going into convulsions, like what the fuck's going on?
Well, it's not common to see that many deer. If you like an average set for me, if I'm back here and I'm watching a food source, a big field, if I see 10 to 15 deer, that's a pretty good night.
Hell yeah.
Wow. See, and that's the thing is, like here, you're not going to see that many deer. And
it depends where.
You will. But what I'm saying is we don't have the big ag fields like that to roll up on them. True. To have the deer all in one place.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
what I'm saying? So like in the small little areas that we do have that have food plots, you will see that, or the ag fields, like our big hay fields or our big corn fields or so on and so forth. There is those areas around my area that have those ag fields that will have a lot of deer in them, but most of it is more smaller suburban urban areas that you're not going to see smaller the deer parcels, all at once. You know what I'm saying? So
right, the food source is probably a little more scattered throughout the timber, whether it be browse or acorns or pods dropping off the trees. I mean, deer are very resourceful when it comes to eating in the timber, so you might not always see them gather in a field, but they're feeding. Whether you can see them doing it in a field or not, they're feeding on something. So
how many times
you have some snow? If you have some snow on the ground, take advantage of that and walk in and just try to find where they're feeding.
How many times do you find that a deer has to feed in a day?
Oh, a lot of times when in the wintertime, they'll get up several times during the day and just pick around where their bed's at and then lay back down. Deer aren't covering big, they're not traveling big distances to get to food this time of year, especially these old deer. I've found a lot of times, they'll bed right on the edge of the field, but they're not, usually within 100 to 200 yards of the food. So they're not making big runs like they did in November. That's why it's a little tougher to get on them if you're not on a food source this time of year.
That's solid advice. Now, do you ever, or have you ever found yourself in an oh shit moment? Like, whether it be like, fuck, I should be hunting this, or fuck, I just got busted, but I'm going to get him. Like, an oh shit moment that caught you off guard.
I'm trying to think of something recently that would be applicable to that. Well, I've got that food plot that I was talking about, this big time plot. I got into it probably 1 to 2 weeks too late. I'd let it set for a while. I hadn't been back to it. And as soon as I stepped foot into it, I could just see the bulbs are already half chewed. So I think I'd missed down on probably a week's worth of really good hunting there. So if you have a food source that is going to get good as the late season goes on, just keep an eye on it and don't miss out when those deer start hitting it. Anticipate that.
In a food source like that, like that those deer later in the season are sitting close to that area. Like, what would you do to try and move in on those whitetails? With them being so close to the food source.
Yeah, I try to design a food plot. Like, I'll pick my spot out for the food plot and then do whatever land work I need to do to put it there. So I try to put a food plot in a spot where I can enter and exit without a lot of deer seeing me. Terrain features, if it's a little more flat and open, then you can use like a green screen. You can plant a screen that will actually shield you and let you walk into your plot and then walk back out without being seen. Those are kind of two of my favorite tactics. This food plot that I'm talking about right now is just in a flat open field, so I'll use a green screen to get in and out of my stand.
Are you building like man-made bedding, like slash cutting or something that's close to it to keep the deer on one side of it?
No, this farm is just so good as far as cover and bedding goes. I don't really need to do anything to improve it or concentrate it. And honestly, I'd just kind of beat my head against the wall if I did, because there's just there's so many ridges and trees laying down. I mean, it's an ideal bedding farm, so I really don't have to do anything on that one.
Yep.
But if you have to, I mean, you can hinge cut in certain areas and try to actually place the deer on one part of your farm where it makes it easier for you to get into that food source, or even better, the transition area between the bed and the food. So that way, you catch them coming off the bed that you made for them, going to the food that you made for them, and you're in between. So after they pass you and get on that food, then you can sneak right back out without being seen. That's an ideal situation.
Wow. So, I mean, Trev and Austin, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, I was going to ask, like, what's the most, like, perfect picture playbook way you want to take your deer late season? And it seems like food source is the thing. I mean, that's been very redundant in this episode, in the sense of, like, this is the time. So I haven't hunted a morning for 2 weeks. I kind of give up on my morning hunting in late season. I just concentrate on what the deer are doing in the evenings, and it's always getting off the bed, coming to feed. I mean, late season hunting is pretty basic in my opinion. What do you mean by that, though? Pretty basic in the sense of what?
Food is the only thing you need to concern yourself with. I've got cell cameras right now. I'm seeing deer come back to bed every morning, and a couple of them are good bucks, but I'm just not going to risk trying to intercept that deer coming back into his bed when I know it's just going to be a lot easier to intercept him coming to the food at night.
Dope. That's
really
dope.
You know where he's going anyways.
Yes, exactly. So, in the essence, less is more at the end of the day.
Exactly. Less intrusion, less scent, less opportunity for that deer to bust you. Make your move with caution. Try to figure out what that deer's doing. And we run into a situation back here where you have so many deer using a food source, you can't just keep going in and hunting that food source every night. You do it 2 or 3 nights in a row, you've blown all the deer out. You've got a fraction of the deer using it, so you have to get creative on, if you're going to hunt it a couple nights in a row, on how you get those deer off the field when you go to leave, if they're catching you, if you don't have a good transition out of there. So there's just a lot of factors, but that this food plot comes to mind that I'm hunting right now. And when the deer do see me to get down and leave, I'll either coyote bark at them, or I can have my wife or a family member drive in and pick me up and bump the deer off of the vehicle. That's a good way to do it too. But,
it's funny you mentioned that, because I find in my early years of whitetail hunting that the best source of not getting busted or educating the deer is to have someone come in on a Power Motorsports. So, shout out to Scranton Power Sports, to just come in and kind of pull you out, so to speak. It's funny you mentioned the coyote call too, though. Now, to get specific, do you do that before you start climbing down, or do you start climbing down and then do it? Like,
no, you don't want to let the deer know that you're in there, so you give a bark before you ever start moving, and try to clear the field before they can actually see you move. Once they see you move, the jig's kind of up. They know that somebody's in there. But if they hear something like a coyote or a dog, something that's a little more natural to them, it's enough to move them off the field, but it's not enough to startle them.
That's awesome. Shout out to Nor'easter Game Calls, because right now we are working on the ECB coyote call. I mean, this is in, to sequence after the Evolution series and Exotic series that we have out there. I mean, you know what, Austin? This is something I've always wondered about you, man. Do you use grunt calls at all?
Oh, yeah.
What do you use?
I've got an old call. It's killed a lot of deer for me. It's called a Mad Buck Growl. It's made by the Drury Brothers.
Oh, no shit.
And yeah, it's a real deep, aggressive call, and I think it's killed 5 or 6 of my bucks for me. So.
Why is it so mad though?
It's got a real deep. It's like a roar. It's like a.
Yeah.
It's got a real deep roar to it. It's just a good, challenging call. When you find a deer, a 4 or 5 year old deer that's dominant, and you call at him with that, it's just kind of a challenge, and it's a pretty effective call.
Now, that's awesome, by the way, because if it works and it ain't broken, don't fix it. But have you ever wondered if maybe sometimes you should, because like anything, especially like, let's be specific with bows. You shoot elite, correct? Elite archery?
Yeah.
All right. So elite archery, they've obviously been growing and evolving. So wouldn't you say that goes with any type of implement in hunting, like a call, right? Or no?
I don't know about that.
Really?
I like your analogy. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
All right. So you're a tough one. A tough one to kind of string along.
I haven't tried any new grunt calls just because I've had such good luck with deer responding to that one. I haven't really seen any need to change it, but I'm always open to try something new.
All right, cool. That's what I was trying to get out of you. Like it's tough to pry it out of you. You're actually really good at podcasting. That's what it is, man. Is Nor'easter Game Calls, right? This is a shameless plug, mainly because they've been evolving with the podcast with ourselves. And our first grunt call that we put out together, it was very noticeably a different call that works, right? And I've never used a Mad grunt call that you've used, so I can't even speak for that in itself. But in comparison to the first series to the new series, the Evolution series, and I've used other ones that I'll rename nameless. It's very comparable, and to me, it just seems to be more accurate and working better in the sense of how tunable it is. The tunability is everything. Yeah. It seems like this is the theory of going into 2020 is tunability. Shameless plug. The cure. It's just one of those things is with time and hunting, and not even to kind of plug in any kind of names or anything like that. It seems like with hunting, right? If it ain't fixed or it ain't broken, don't fix it. Or however that goes, it just seems like sometimes we need to keep our options open in the sense of growing as a hunter. Because as times evolve, right, unfortunately, more timber is getting cut down, and we need to keep our options open in the sense of where we're going to hunt. Maybe not necessarily your scenario, because like you said earlier, you're blessed to have your scenario of hunting. But what about the inner city person like myself, or even the dude that doesn't have that much time, more suburban area that has certain little parcels? Do you think that it's applicable for them to evolve with times and maybe try different methods that are evolving with our hunting times? Or
for sure. And that goes for everybody. I mean, that's the more adaptable and open-minded you are, chances are the more successful you're going to be. We learn more about this sport every year, and I try to keep an open mind, and that's not to say if you found a method or something that you like that works for you,
stick with it.
Always
right.
Keep that in the back of your mind. Don't throw it away, but be open-minded and try new things and try to try to make everything fit into your own little arsenal the best you can. And, just be a well-rounded hunter.
So going back on that, like, honestly, is there anything that you learned this season that was new to you? Like what?
New for this season?
Yeah, something that you learned this year that helped you.
Yeah, that you tried different that you normally wouldn't, and it worked out for you.
This stand that I've been using has just been a total game changer, and it's the first season I've ever used it, so that's like the first thing that comes to mind. But I'm no stranger to mobile hunting, setting up hang and bang style and getting it done in one set. But this stand and these sticks together just makes for a really quiet, slick package, and I'm just a big fan of it. I'm really plugging this thing hard, and I'm not even getting paid by these guys.
But you believe in it, man, and that's all that matters.
No, I do. I'm just passionate about it because it's a really effective system, and when I find something that works for me, I get excited about it.
And it's good to hear that, because I think that there's a lot of things that a lot of us use, that we don't get paid for, but we live it, we breathe it, and we dream it, and those are the things that we're very passionate about. And no matter what, we're gonna still use those things, and we believe in them, and we want everybody else to know how fucking good they really are.
Yeah, we want to see other hunters have success. So I think spreading the word that's all we can do. When you have success with a product, you like to share that and let other hunters know about it.
And if they want to pay us, then so be it too, right?
Yeah, that's not a bad thing either.
Yeah, we keep our pockets open. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, though, like I'm glad that you mentioned like stick with what works for you, because and being open to new things too. For example, I'm very curious, like the Lone Wolf custom gear, right? The stand and sticks, stand and sticks. I'm very curious to use that in Maryland hunting the swamps, because to be very honest, I want to see the compatibility and accessibility of the system through some, pretty horrendous terrain like frag grass, and it just seems like it really rips away at you. So I'm really curious on using that method in there. Specifically, I had to resort to saddle hunting there only because it was less drag, if that makes any sense. Because it seems like it's a bunch of little arms just kind of pulling you back. And not to take anything away from that, because I saw a lot of people bring in all different types of climbers, and it seemed like they were just struggling more and making more noise. So at the end of the day, like, I'm super curious on using different methods and seeing what works. So to kind of piggyback off what you said is keep open to new ideas and stuff. But if something's working, don't try to fix it. I mean, shit, you're dropping them left and right consistently every year. So that's, it's nice to see.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if it's the gear or if I'm just getting lucky or what's going on, but I'm just going to try to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm having fun. That's the main thing, I guess. This season's been a long one. I've put a lot of hours in, and I keep grinding. I'm hoping for the second one, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I have had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of cool encounters, and man, I'm optimistic for next year. I don't think I've ever seen so many really nice borderline deer in a season.
All right, so Austin Chandler, you made it to Ninja Tip of the Day. What do you have for a Ninja Tip for all our listeners, whether it be West Coast, East Coast, across seas? Because believe it or not, we have a very high European influence. I don't know why. Maybe it's my Latino ass kind of trying to open the realm and get them away from the rifle and shotgun. I don't know if you knew that in Europe it's actually it's easier to get rifle tags versus archery tags.
Some of them, they're not even allowed to hunt with archery.
Right. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because they consider it less ethical.
Like Poland. Poland is a non-archery state country.
Why you put on blast, man? We love Poland.
It's Poland, but
Poland. Sorry. I thought it was called polenta.
You learn something new every day, I guess.
So what do you have ninja tip of the day for our listener?
We're talking about mobile hunting. It's kind of been a common theme through this podcast, so we'll just stick with that. A lot of guys are probably more traditional. You know, they've got their pre-hung sets. They go in and hunt the same stand every time. If you've never tried a mobile system, whether it be a saddle or a stand and sticks that you can put on your back and carry in with you and go in and set it up and hunt, and if you don't like what you're seeing, you can take it back out with you in that same set. I am confident that you're going to see your success and the amount of animals that you're seeing go through the roof if you try this mobile style of hunting. It's been extremely effective for me. So if I was going to give anybody a ninja tip, I suppose that's what it would be.
That's pretty solid, man, because, both Trev and I can really attest to that one ninja tip in the sense of try mobile hunting. I think that's what you're trying to say, yeah, Austin?
Yep.
Yeah, because, this season alone, we both took that approach, and we find ourselves holding on to one last tag for that one before we tag out at home state. And I can't speak for Trev specifically. I know he could have tagged out in New York, but certain things happen that kind of deters that from coming to fruition, whether it be, just holding off for a bigger buck or whatnot. I know I've tagged out in certain states. I'm still trying to tag out in Maryland, so that's coming after the new year, I think. Mobile hunting, it gives you more opportunity, I think, is the gist of the ninja tip.
Yeah, you just get to cover more ground, you get to see more, and it's a fresh set when you go in. When you've never been in that area, usually your first set in is going to be your best set. So the more first sets you can do, the better off your luck's going to be.
Hell yeah. So, do you hunt out of state at all, Austin, or no?
I do for different species. As far as whitetail hunting, I've never hunted out of state for whitetail, but I have traveled to hunt other species.
Now, did you end up doing that moose hunt this year or no?
My moose hunt is scheduled for the fall of 21. So
that's
the first week in September of 2021, we're flying up to a little town called Bethel, Alaska.
Oh,
and
I'm very familiar.
They're flying us in on a float plane and dropping us for 10 days.
That is dope. With the same crew you were talking about?
It'll be Ross, myself, and my best friend Cody.
Nice. That's going to be. I'm excited to hear about that story. You know what? I can almost foresee the story. It's kind of crazy.
I'm seeing something like 65-inch.
As long as you're not seeing any grizzlies, I'm cool with that.
Now, are you guys going to have some wolf tags while you're out there too? Because that town specifically where you're being dropped off at, you're going to see a lot of wolves, I do have to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't even done any research as far as the wolves go.
I know.
If I could, I would for sure. I'd love to shoot a wolf.
Is it archery up? Are you doing archery? You doing rifle?
We're bringing both. You can do either. So for the first half of the hunt, I'm going to try it with the bow. And if I'm not getting close, then I'll have my backup.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Rifle or muzzleloader?
Rifle.
Nice. Yeah, man. Do some intel on the wolf game because I know as a resident you're allowed to hunt up to 10 a season. So as a non-resident, I'm sure it's going to be enough. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. But that'd make a pretty sweet addition to the man cave. I'd love to have a wolf up here.
Fuck yeah! Have you ever seen a wolf, like aside from a zoo, but like a wolf
mount?
Yeah.
No. Oh,
no,
you have?
I've seen them in person. When I was black bear hunting in Idaho, I had a pack of them come in on me, so I've got to see some at about 80 yards.
They're fucking huge,
big.
aren't they?
Yeah, they're big.
Dude, I think a lot of people don't. underestimate the size of a wolf. It's literally like, in comparison in Connecticut for our East Coasters, it's in comparison to like a small black bear, you know, like a little 200 pound, 250 pound black bear as far as size goes, you know.
It reminded me of a 200-pound German Shepherd is what it looked like.
Yeah, straight up.
So I did my first European mount on one. Guy from Alaska, they had brought one in, one of the taxidermists I was working for, and I'm like, what in the fuck is this? Is this someone's like husky? Like, what is this thing? Like, I've never seen something that big. You know, you always deal with Eastern coyotes for us is tiny, you know, 35, 45 pounds, if that. You know, and then to have a wolf, you're like, holy fuck. I couldn't imagine if that thing grabbed a hold of you. Oh, whew.
Oh, they're brutal killers. They're very efficient hunters.
So what's your the one hunt that sticks out in your mind the most? As soon as I say that, which one is it?
As far as deer that I've already killed or hunts that I want to go on?
Hunts in general that you've had in the past, not necessarily deer. What's the one that sticks out the most?
My first animal that I ever killed, I started bow hunting. I picked up the bow in the spring of 97, and in the fall of 97, I was a freshman in high school, just going into high school. I was in school for 2 days, and Dad pulled me out of school, and we went elk hunting for 10 days. So on the last day of the hunt, I shot my first cow elk at 50 yards with my high country ultra force bow. So that was a pretty epic way to start the sport.
Hell yeah. Jesus. That's awesome, man.
That's incredible.
So I cut my teeth on elk hunting before I'd ever even chased a whitetail with a bow. So I really enjoy hunting elk with a bow. That's
pretty dope. Do you ever foresee your elk hunt coming anytime soon, or?
I hunted, 2 falls ago. I went to Colorado and hunted with my dad. We didn't have any luck. I would like to go back. I would love to kill a big bull with my bow. I've killed a big one with a rifle, but I've never killed a big one with a bow. So that's kind of on the to-do list.
Word. You ever give a thought to seek a deer hunt out East Coast?
I would like to try that. I know you guys do that, and maybe that should be on the to-do list as well.
It's an experience for sure. I mean, it's I haven't been on an elk hunt, but I've been in the Colorado mountains before. So in comparison, as far as effort, it's pretty comparable in the sense of you're gonna know if you're in shape or not. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Those marshes look nasty.
Dude, it's not even the marshes, right? It's really the mosquitoes. Like,
really?
It's one of those things. And Garrett Benner, the modern assassin, he put it best, is God made everything beautiful, right? And you've seen some of the pictures that we've posted on social media, like the marsh is beautiful. But God is like, wait a minute, this is too beautiful. What can we put in the marshes that really will annoy someone almost to death, but not kill them? And guess what? It's the fucking mosquito. It's just one of those things. Is if you're not covered up or you don't use any type of mosquito repellent, whatever the method is you're going to know they're there. Whether it be in your ear constantly, you're hearing them, whether it be flickering into your eye that you have to like wipe your eyelash or whatever because they're like seeking moisture into your eyeball, or even sometimes even climbing up, you might suck one in either your nose or your mouth and you end up coughing your ass off and blowing your spot as you're climbing. It's just, that is probably the one thing. And I don't have a lot of experience hunting these marsh ghosts, but guess what? That 1 week really prepped me for the next time is prep for mosquitoes. That's the best advice I could give for that.
Take that into consideration if I ever come out there.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. So, I mean, shit, we've been talking about a lot of shit that is positive and everything that we should really focus on. So it brings us to this. Austin Chandler, what rattles your antlers? What gets under your skin, whether it be life in general or outdoors?
You guys Trump supporters?
Of course we are.
Yes.
Amen. I don't think I need to go any further. You guys know what's rattling my antlers today.
Isn't that, you know what? I do have to say, and we, you know, I don't know how the ratings are going to go for this episode as it ends, but it's just crazy to me, right? To know the American history and be proud to be American and be on this side of the wall, and to see and live through this type of opposition where our own Senate and political leaders go against our own President of the United States.
Yeah, they would rather see our country fail and get their way than actually have good things happen for our country. I mean, this guy's done nothing but what he promised to do, and they don't care. It's not good enough. I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna get in a bad mood if I have to talk about it, but that's rattling my antlers pretty hard today. When I see him being treated the way that he is, it's just very frustrating. I don't feel like the majority of Americans have a voice in this thing, and it's disgusting.
It is disgusting because, you know, it's just crazy on my view of things. It's very I don't want to say it's very different because I was born in West Des Moines, Iowa. So, okay, I've been thrown in the thick of it, the hunting capital of the world, or of our nation, I should say. And when it comes to whitetail hunting, and to see the most like slappy in the face America, and then go like growing to love America for everything, because it's every Mexican's dream to be not just American, but be on this side of the wall, right? And this is all like, all jokes aside, like every Mexican's dream is to come to America and live the American dream. Right now, I'm doing it. And it's not much. It's just having an American household, your family, an American job, you pay your taxes, you work hard for your money. It's pretty plain and simple. Now, to get a president like Trump in office to really do everything that he said he was going to do, aside from all the dirt that came up, because you're going to see it in every political campaign, and then him to follow through what he was going to do, and then to have and this is opening can of worms right now, but then to have like our political leaders bash him, vote against him, to me, right? To me, I don't know if they knew this or not. It's really setting an example for those political leaders that voted against them for their next election coming up. Like, we're really seeing who's on the American side and who's not. Because when did we ever, and we're probably going to get hate mail. I'm sorry, Trev. But this is probably where we're really going to find out what America is all about. And what I mean by that specifically is like, when the fuck did we get so fucking soft that we show it on national TV to other countries that maybe, I'm not even going to say maybe, because we are the best country in the fucking world. But why the fuck are we showing weakness on national TV? An impeachment process should be more disclosed, more discreet, because on that same token, any person that's going to try to attack or infiltrate our country through political systems is going to target those people that voted against the president. So I'm going to have to stop there, man, before I go on a tangent.
I want to say one thing, and that is, when did American people ever not fucking believe in their president? I don't care if it's fucking Democratic or Republican. It doesn't matter. When do you not believe in your fucking president? This is the United States of America. If you don't love your country, you shouldn't be here. You're supposed to totally stand behind your fucking president no matter what. And I get so upset about it.
Yep. Well, it's just sad because he's not a politician. He's a patriot. And there are a lot of people that are politicians in this world. And I think that's the kind of people we're seeing go against him today. So it just lets you know who the real true patriots of the country are. Yeah.
The three of us
this
are.
podcast had a pretty upbeat vibe up until I brought that up. So maybe we can get off that.
You know what? To bring it on a positive note, right? Like, out of all the politicians that were on the debate today and the impeachment process, it was so relieving to see the representative out of Texas come on. And I'm not even going to quote him because I'll misquote him, but I was like, yeah. And this is the motherfucker that's right next to Mexico talking some real shit, you know, and you know.
Yeah, leave it up to Texas to bring the Patriot in.
I'm just saying, you ain't American unless you're from Texas. That's like real America. And that's like, I don't know, man. It's like there's so many good Americans here that stand up for the right cause, and we stand up for our presidents. Like, it just sucks to see our country kind of like, even in the political level, going against our leader. And man, I want to get off this subject because honestly, it really opened up my eyes to which states I'm not going to go hunting. Yeah. You know what I mean? And plain and simple.
We could have a whole podcast. What are you doing tomorrow? You want to have a political podcast?
Part two?
I'll do my research.
Yeah. So, I mean, Austin, is there anything that comes to mind that you really want to shed some light on your episode tonight here in the East Coast?
Not really, man. I'm just grateful you guys had me on, and it's been a good time. I've been looking forward to catching up with you guys for a while. Getting together at the shoot's just not enough, you know. We need to meet up again for sure before the shoot comes back around.
Amen, brother. Amen. Hey, what trade shows are you going to be attending this year?
Well, that depends on if I shoot a buck or not. My season goes for another month. So if I don't have a buck, I'm going to keep hunting. So I'll miss ATA and I'll miss Nebraska. The boys are going to Nebraska the last weekend of my season. So if I've still got a tag, I'll probably be hunting those two. And I think the next one in line after that's Iowa. So you guys going back to Iowa this year?
Oh, we'll be in the dungeon. I already talked to Stevie Boy. We got the dungeon locked in, so this way we could catch up there. Know which show that I really encourage you to try to make, even if it's for like a couple days of the weekend. One of the weekends is Harrisburg, man. I think...
yeah, I've heard that's a good one. That's a big one. I would like to go to that.
Honestly, it'd be nice to see more Midwest influence there because we've both been to a lot of trade shows, and I do have to say Harrisburg's the show. You get the most people... not just because it's 9 days, but you get the most people in and out in one building in one day in that show than I've seen across the nation. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's impressive.
It is very impressive. Maybe I'm wrong. If there's someone out there that can prove me wrong, please shout out to us, whether it be in Facebook, Instagram, any social media platform or our website. Reach out to us. Prove us wrong. Because I even talked to Kurt a little bit on seeing if he's going to make it or not. But you know what? It's, WCB stays to their clique as we do to ours, which is, I mean, rightfully so. We got to represent our area. And, man, it would be awesome to see our boys from the Midwest hitting up Harrisburg, man. It'd just be a good time. Right. And guess what? Is the Modern Assassin Deer Camp is not that far away from there. So it'd be a good time nonetheless.
I'd definitely like to check that out. We'll try to do that here. Might not be this year, but in the future we're gonna make that happen.
For sure, man. Well, Austin, I mean, we can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I mean, you really laid down some knowledge. I know a lot of the listeners are going to pick apart what you said specifically and apply it to their field. And maybe we can make some late season magic happen with the thanks of your helpful hints. So, round of positivity, Trev, what do you have?
Round of positivity, man, honestly, is that we're winding down to the end of our season here, and everything that Austin has laid down, I am definitely going to use to my everyday tactics here. and pick apart what he had to say. But it was also really nice to have another brother in arms on the podcast and catch up with him. It's always a good time, especially when we get together, and I really look forward to the future and seeing you soon, man. Thanks again.
Oh, yeah, man.
So what I bring around the positivity is sooner than later, I'm going to look into those crystal blues of yours. You have a mesmerizing look that I love to see in a killer, man. It's one of those looks, no homo, that I like to see in a dude. Is like you look and because I look at people straight in the eyes when I talk to them, and when I look at your eyes, like, damn, dude, like this dude's killed some shit. And the round of positivity to that is you're committed to the outdoors and conservation and helping people in their outdoor adventure. So thank you for coming on, Austin.
I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
Well, what do you have around the positivity for us, man, and for the listeners?
Well, we're talking about late season. It's a great time to hook up with a big deer that you haven't seen for a month or two. Keep those trail camera going. Keep checking your spots. You never know when the big boy is going to come back in these late seasons. So just keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully it comes together for all of us.
Amen, brother. And on that note, stay stepping
and stay slaying.
Podcast go straight to hell. Yeah, speaking of hell, check out East Coast Bowhunting Podcast.
We keep it real on East Coast.
First of all, I'm addicted to the show.
I like that. That's cool.
Full hunt, you live it, you breathe it.
It's a whole different world.
Just East Coast has a little bit more of an edge and a grind.
It's a fantastic thing.
You guys are fucking awesome.
Well, number one is you guys like beer.
I want to feel like I'm hanging with the boys.
You're the guys that showed up.
But I actually saw Jesus.
The point where it is now where it's insane.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
I just want to get the realest people possible in the industry. And if you're not pissing people off, you're not doing it right.
Nothing forced, all fucking natural.